This is the Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. After we chant the opening, what's the word I'm thinking of? The meditation classic, Pure Golden Ore. I recommend chanting from the diaphragm. To facilitate this, let us touch the tip of our left thumb to its ring finger, and likewise touch the tip of our right thumb to its ring finger, and rest these two bad boys on our lap. Now, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. Luminous mind inexpressible beyond conceptualization. As the light of all is extolled, as the light of the teacher is extolled by all, as a heart of experience is like gentle prince, resting in the spontaneous pleasure of effortless great completion. As a basis of all disciplines such as love's moral conduct, luminous mind provides release in its every mode. It is like a Buddha's mother and the universal path. Without it, Buddhahood could not be accomplished. With it, we are the way of supreme liberation. Subtle and inclusive, this universal path. Transcends the duality of thinking and non-thinking. Without location or reference and determinant, it is beyond all conceptualization. Unutterable, it has no color or shape or no sensory field. Intangible and inscrutable, it is inexpressible. However, whoever follows that path of the ancient ascetics becomes sick from attachment to that contrivance of active focusing, that literal interpretation of the teacher's instructions is experienced as an arduous quest. One moment, if you please. Oh, never mind. As they chase a stream of beliefs and concepts as if pursuing a mirage. But this complete modality cannot be indicated by mere words, and any grasping at so-called true doctrine makes a travesty of Vajrasattva, the archetype of simply noticing and relaxing. Purity and impurity as one inseparably mixed. Pristine awareness as well as bewilderment or indivisible. This lamp of unimpeded clarity free from conceptualization, along with obstinate befuddlement, In and of themselves, each feat powerful meditation. This eye of direct insight, seeing directly, sees merely an empty nothing. Yet it is called the Buddha eye of omniscience. So know the empty nature of vastness without center or boundary. For here lies undiscriminating, powerful non-duality. Luminous mind in its habits are one inseparably mixed. All manifested experiences are merely generated by mind, and shine as adornment, neither accepted nor rejected. So simply let it be and enjoy. Activity that is personally repugnant or culturally taboo, such as the 5 mental poisons or the 5 so-called unforgivable crimes, could feed the realization powerful non-duality. For on this path of purification, nothing is rejected, not even sex. One's intellect could be harmfully conditioned by the elitism and rigidity of tradition and literalism, such as the 3 contrived analogues of samadhi's awareness, bliss, and love, as well as the dogmatic belief and doctrine, which are the delusions that undermine effortless transmission. Instead of such folly, let us abide in the spontaneous pleasure of the spontaneous reform of Dzogchen's great completion. So one moment, if you please. Copy, paste, remove the italics, and spell. Let's go into reveal mode and delete. Whoops, wrong button. The core of sublime spontaneous awareness, imperturbable, unchanging, and unelaborated, which is the ambrosia of the timeless consummation that vanquishes the pain of any exertion. Thus resting in the here and now, every ambition is spontaneously fulfilled. Hey, magnificent one, listen, all and everything in experience, which share the same empty nature of the luminous mind, is like an all-inclusive essential drop incapable of being controlled by the dualities of contemplation or concentration, expansion or contraction, generation or cessation, unconfined. It is simply being. This inconceivable essence chronologically always present like the sky, and locationally everywhere present like space transcends ideas and speech. So there was a lot of ideas. We're now going to summarize it with the 6 Vajra verses that are the song of pure presence. Or I should say the cuckoo's song of pure presence. The nature of multiplicity is non-dual. Oops, one moment, please bear with me. The nature of multiplicity is non-dual, and things are naturally pure and simple. Being contrivance-free in the here and now, shining out in all forms, it is always all good. Thus already complete exertion is now redundant, and spontaneity ever natural. Having completed our opening recitation, we can now shift gears. Let us sit as comfortably and sustainably as we can. One of the most efficient ways, let me check the time real quick. It's 27, so that means 33 plus 10 is 43, plus 5 is 48. Divide by 2 is 24. Excellent. So 2 sets of 24 minutes. So it could be useful if we began by gently inviting our subtle energy to coalesce at our crown. To do that, we're going to adjust our fingers and adjust the reference point of our breathing, which sounds more complicated than it is. We'll begin with our fingers. Let us, to keep track of our first collection of 12 sets of 12 breaths, which could take around 15 minutes or so. Let us use the tip of our left index finger to support the first knuckle of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Every time we feel air enter our nostril, we could silently and mentally recite the verb noticing to help us to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly the full spectrum of humans' perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. All of them. From the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Every time we feel air exit our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing, that we might better cooperate with the parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel fleetingly less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and even as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand. In addition to using our left index finger to support our the lower knuckle of our right index finger. Our left thumb has a job to do. This left thumb could come to rest upon the lower set of creases of its little finger, thus helping us to keep track of our first set of 12 inhalations. Where will we count those 12 inhalations? On our right hand. Every time we silently and mentally recite the verb noticing during our inhalation, we can advance our right thumb across the sets of creases found on the inside of each of its 4 fingers. So together as a team, let us do this right now. Having run out of sets of creases upon which to rest the tip of my right thumb, we return our attention to our left thumb and now advance it to its next set of creases. And so we can see how we can count 12 sets of 12 inhalations each on both our hands while keeping track of our first collection thereof. If this is your first rodeo, give yourself permission to have a learning curve, for repetition is the mother of skill. Buddhism has 2 camps. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. That 90% makes me think of patriarchy, of institutional Buddhism. What about the minority? What about matriarchy? Well, that reminds me of proto-Buddhism, where Buddha said, dude, the path is just eightfold. The path of enlightenment is eightfold, and it can be mastered in as little as 7 days. The path is supposed to be peaceful and easy and pleasurable, even hedonistic. If someone says it's difficult and arduous and you must strain, thank them for their time and then run away. Remember, our job is not to control what we notice. Our job is simply to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly as we breathe in, and to relax as best we can as we breathe out. It's not our job. It's neither a victory nor a defeat if we notice the same thing during each inhalation for 10 minutes. Neither good nor bad. It simply is. And we don't have to force this noticing. We don't have to force this relaxing. For they are the natural functions of our autonomic nervous system. Then why do we play with the verbs noticing and relaxing? To remind our volition, our intention to cooperate with our autonomic nervous system as opposed to compete against it. Let us not indulge the controlling tendencies, the rigid tendencies to label every thought, emotion, perception, or the like. That is unnecessary and counterproductive. Instead, let us content ourselves with a passive, silent, and mental recitation of noticing and relaxing. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions every 6 minutes or so. Noticing and relaxing comprise mindfulness and meditation, respectively the seventh and eighth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path of Enlightenment. Simply by playing with those techniques once every 12 hours or so, we set in motion a falling domino-like series of events wherein the remaining six folds of the path are taken care of naturally. We automatically notice change and non-graspability. We automatically experience feelings, impulses of greater interpersonal love, greater loving intention, loving communication, loving conduct, and loving commerce. We begin to flow. We begin to experience the centered spontaneity of effortless effort. All this from simply noticing and relaxing once every 12 hours or so. There are some who would say, no, noticing and relaxing or pure presence means you're in a specific state, and they might mean well, but that's an indulging of our controlling tendencies and our rigid tendencies. The great Buddhist teachers throughout the multiple millennia have insisted that we're not to pick and choose our perceptions or emotions or intentions or thoughts or memories or imaginings. It is as if you and I are mere patrons of a theater. We are not the producer, the director, the playwright, or the thespian upon the stage. We're just some bloke in the audience which sits on his tush and enjoys the antics on the stage. The stage, of course, being our body and our mind. If we content ourselves to notice and relax whatever happens, we are safe from the tyranny of our negative or destructive impulses. It is counterintuitive, but consistently observable. When I was a little boy, my mother would say, "Don't fall down, you'll crack your skull and your brains will fall out." And I thought that was weird. Why didn't she use the singular? Why'd she use the plural? Because I am an autistic and that's how I think. But it turns out our brain is full of many organelles. Let's explore two of them. Towards the middle part of our brain, at the bottom level, there's something about the size of a pea called our amygdala. This nasty fellow is the seat of both anxiety and aggression, which is great in a survival circumstance where you have to defend your niece and nephew from an angry bear. Great. But if it's our default mechanism, if it's our North Star, our lives are going to be deeply unfulfilling. There is another organelle a little bit up, a little bit forward from that, called the anterior cingulate gyrus. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy. And it would seem that our amygdala and our anterior cingulate gyrus are like two ends of a seesaw. They are mutually exclusive. When we indulge our controlling tendencies, our rigid tendencies, our elitist tendencies, when we overwork and exhaust the front of our brain, the medial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, to overfocus and overanalyze, we doom ourselves to triggering our amygdala, becoming more anxious and more aggressive. However, at the opposite end of our central nervous system is our spinal cord. In the middle bit is our sympathetic nervous system, and at the two ends are the components that comprise our autonomic nervous system that help us to passively notice and physically relax. And they are working automatically. However, most of us have been conditioned, humanity has been conditioned for about 13 millennia to actively compete against our own autonomic nervous system. Meditation is simply taking a break from that and passively cooperating with our own tendencies to vulnerably notice and viscerally relax. If you feel pain in your joints, please feel free to gently adjust your legs, for we do not earn extra credit by indulging the causes of arthritis. Two methods. Let's explore one of two methods to gently invite our subtle energies to coalesce in our chest. Let us use the tip of our middle finger, not our index finger, but our middle finger, to support the lower knuckle of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. A second method to reinforce this is the location on the body where we feel our breath. As we feel our chest swell with breath, let us silently and mentally recite the verb noticing. As we feel our chest subtly sink, as gently we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing. By the way, this supporting our, using the tip of our left index finger, using the tip of our left middle finger, support the lower knuckle of our right middle finger, helps us to keep track of our second collection of 12 sets of 12 inhalations each. A aphorism shared in the Soto Zen community is this: there's only thinking and no thinking. That is metaphoric, and if taken literally, it is cryptic and meaningless. When we unpack the metaphor, what does it mean? As we relax into our exhalation, whatever thoughts we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and less solid, at least for a moment, until the next inhalation and the cycle begins anew. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. In approximately 11 hours, a little bit less than about 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's dusk recitation, explanation, and practice of meditating like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.